How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully, everyone's having a lovely day. So, I'm still seeing a lot of chatter and a lot of talk going around, Bengals Nation here. But why aren't we running the football more? Why are the Bengals not sticking to the run game? Why are they not getting the ball handed to Joe Mixon? Why is he not getting more involved in this offense? Is it 8 games, 9 games now? The Bengals have went without 100 yards rushing, without question, most in the league right now, longest streak in the league. So there's no question about it. The run game's lacking for the Cincinnati Bengals when you're in those kind of metrics, especially when you're an offense that's not a top 5 offense in the league. You're still bottom 5, bottom 10 in the league on the season. So you start to question stuff like that. So I completely understand why people want to see Joe Mixon get into the run game. Now, I think there's personally looking at this. So I think it's there's a lot more than just saying just hand the football off to Joe Mixon more. I think there's a lot of layers to it. First of all, Joe Mixon's averaging 3.8 yards per carry in a season. He averaged 3.2 yards per carry against the Seahawks. If you watched Pete Carroll in this football game, I thought it was important to note because it's something a good coach does. Fourth quarter came around, they quit running the football. This is a team that lives and dies by running the football, playing some defense, running the football some more. That's been their MO since Pete Carroll's been there. They quit running the football because that Bengals defensive front, that Bengals defense was doing a really good job. Bengals defense, by the way, has been struggling mightily to stop the run this season. They went in there and held Kenneth Walker in check in a big way, just barely getting 60 yards on the game. Again, for a team that wants to pound that rock and pound it more and pound it more, that Bengals defensive front was getting a push, making big plays. So Pete Carroll said, all right, this ain't working no more. We're done. We're done with this. We're going to have to throw the football and win another way. Once you get to that fourth quarter, we've seen that happen. And I think that is, a testament to a coach being willing to adjust, have a secondary game plan. And then you look at, we're going to bring it up. I talked about good for Lou. I mean, Lou Anarumo came into this game knowing that's what the Seattle Seahawks are going to do. Was kind of try to beat this team. It's the Bengals defense that was bottom 5 and stopping the run entering the game. And he said, we're going to figure this out, fellas. We're going to game plan to stop it. And he did. He said, you're going to beat us through the air. And what happened? You've seen Cam Taylor, Britt, and company make some big interceptions in this football game to help the Cincinnati Bengals win the game. Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, these guys getting to the quarterback, closing out this football game, playing like the Bengals defense we know and love of these past couple seasons. And boy, did they look impressive. But nonetheless, Lou came into that game plan knowing, hey, they're going to run this football. But eventually, if this works, where we're stopping the run, they're going to have to throw the football. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring some pressure. We're going to force the quarterback to make some bad passes. They had a chance twice in this game to end the game, to drive down that football field in first and goal inside the red zone to score a touchdown, take the lead. The Bengals defense was clamping them down and making the big stops. Again, you can never give Lou Anarumo too much credit. It seems like you can just continuously throw it his way, but you have to give him a lot of credit for the game plan in this football game. But I think that's the game of chess you play with the coaching staff, which is why I think you still see to this day a lot of question with Zach Taylor. Because here, now let's flash back to the running game. Now, I think there's a couple reasons. First of all, we brought it up. If you're averaging 3.2 yards per carry, you're not going to run the ball a lot. So again, good for Taylor for not trying to force it. You want teams to respect it. You want teams to always respect that run game because it opens up more in the pass game. But if it's not working, it's not working. You kind of have to go away from it. So good for Taylor there for recognizing that. And I think that's something that stands out because this is personal opinion from watching Bengals games so far this season. If you watch the runs the Bengals are successful on versus not successful, more often than not, the unsuccessful runs are on situations where the opposing team knows the Bengals are going to run the football. And when it's a good run, maybe it's a first down, they run out 3 wide or 4 wide, and the Bengals run. It's like teams weren't expecting it. They weren't ready for it. But you look at Mixon this season, he's averaging 1.4 yards per carry. 1.4 yards per carry on 3rd and 3 or fewer, or 4th and 3 and fewer this season. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. And a lot of that again comes back down to the defensive front, or if you want to call it the run scheming, whatever kind of game plan you're putting together, because they're not getting a push, and it's been the same thing all season. We've seen it in that 3rd and 1 today. Bengals had a chance to pick up that first down, really move the football down the field, and it was kind of a momentum swinger, if you will, from that offensive side of the football, because it stalled out. Instead of usually what they do, put the ball in Burrow's hand, line them up 5 wide, because that's what's been effective. And unfortunately, that's the situation the Bengals find themselves in right now. I still think Joe Mixon's got a lot left in the tank. I still think this guy's got some spring in his step. He can make some moves. He can make some cuts. I don't think he's not a Nick Chubb. He's not a Derrick Henry. He's not the kind of guy that's going to carry people for 3 or 4 yards. He's just not built like that. And that's okay. He's doing more than what he needs to at the running back position. I think we need to create some more holes for him, some more opportunities for him, because he can. If you give him a chance, he'll explode out there and have an outstanding game. But there's a couple things you like. First of all, if he's getting hit in the backfield all the time, you're not going to keep running the football. If you're not getting that push off the offensive line, you're just getting 1 or 2 yards. When you have what you feel like is a Hall of Fame worthy quarterback, you're not going to run the football. It's just not going to happen. You don't bring T. Higgins in, Jamar Chase, and then talk about getting another weapon offensively and then run the football all the time. That's just not what the good quarterbacks have done in the past. Now, obviously, if you can get that ball on the ground, save some, wear down defenses, oh yeah, do it. If Mixon's averaging 4.5 yards a carry, and they get, oh yeah, why aren't you running the football more? Absolutely, but 3.2, that's why you're not running the football more. You got Joe Burrow as your freaking quarterback. That's why you're not running the football more. But here's the other thing. It's been ineffective for a couple of reasons. This is where we go back to, I think I was bringing up, talking about the coaching staff and the game plan earlier. What doesn't make sense to me still is we hear this a lot. Teams game plan to stop the Bengals deep ball. And we see the Bengals take fewer and fewer. We did see one last week, first one of the season, I think, but we see them fewer and fewer connecting at least. Fewer and fewer of the Bengals taking deep chances game in and game out. Very rarely do we see them play action deep chance down the field. So teams are game planning to stop it, and they're doing a good job of it. But that's not an excuse to not be able to take the deep shots. You think the Miami Dolphins aren't going in there, or teams aren't facing a Dolphin saying we got to make sure Tyreek don't take the top of this defense. He's still going to $150 a game. So there's something in the game planning. I feel like they're not scheming things up. They're not taking those chances to get guys open, and that's important for the run game, because let's play the play action game. You go play action deep shot. You drag that safety down a little bit in the run game. It opens up over the top. It's one and the same. It helps the deep game, helps the run game. Meanwhile, if teams know the Bengals aren't going to play action, take that deep chance, they feel confident in what they got because they know the way they've been bracketing things up. They're not even trying it. Where they play the man over top bracket coverage, double coverage on their guys out wide. That's been so effective. When they know they have that in the bag, the safeties tend to cheat a little bit more. And the safeties cheat a little bit more, obviously, to the run on plays they expect to be runs. They're clogging those holes up. They're stopping Mixon for the minimal gains to negative yard gains or plays. So I think you have to find a way. At the end, that's what it comes down to. You have to find a way to force these teams to respect your speed, respect your deep threats, and respect your receivers as they do, but yet they have them respect it in certain parts of the game plan. The play action being one of them. The third and second, the second and shorts may be one of them. Third and short, obviously, you don't want to throw up 30 yards down the field, but you want to try to find a way to game plan things, scheme things up, to maneuver guys around to get Mixon into more plus situations, more unpredictable situations, I think, because that's what we said. The more predictable it is, that's where they're struggling. And eventually this offensive line will glue together a little bit more. We've seen Ford play a little bit today because of Orlando Brown's groin injury, but eventually, they're going to get better and better. But something about it right now, it's not clicking clearly. And the better and better Burrow plays, and I think that's the thing with Mixon, right? That's why we're seeing him reel off these 5-6 yards on first downs, because you got Joe freaking Burrow as your quarterback. So when Burrow's playing quarterback, you're always going to be leaning on the pass, respecting the pass. So you're going to have some lighter boxes. And it's the game of trying to have those situations where teams might think it's coming a little bit more, where we can overpower them more. We'll see. I don't know if you want to call it a coaching thing, if you want to call it an offensive line thing, if you want to call it a Joe Mixon thing. I feel like there's a lot of layers. It's a very interesting situation. I'm not particularly pinning the blame on anybody right now. When the team loses, it's a team. But I think there's got to be some things you can potentially be willing to try out there that can potentially open things up. Because right now it makes sense. I know people want to see the Bengals run the football, but it's back-to-back weeks under 4 yards per carry. That's why you're not running the football over the 2 or 3 weeks. I completely understand. That's why you're not running the football. You ain't gonna try if you can't get that 4 yards. You don't want to put yourself in a deep situation where that pass rush can get to your quarterback. We'll see though. Love to hear the thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.